Hey guys, I'm Chase Brogan, and today we're taking a look at something that's honestly on a completely different level than any of the soundbars or surround sound systems that I've tested before. This is the Nakamichi Shockwafe Wireless 11.2.6 Home Theater Soundbar System. And now I know the soundbar is technically the correct term here, but after setting this thing up and hearing it in action, calling it just a soundbar almost feels like we're underselling what it actually is. Because unlike most soundbars that are trying to simply improve your TV audio, the Shockwave is really designed to recreate a full home theater experience without requiring a complicated AV receiver setup. We're talking about an 11.2.6 channel system with Dolby Atmos and DTS support, dual wireless 10-inch subwoofers, dedicated wireless surround sound speakers, 6 discrete height channels, 31 total transducers, and up to 2300 watts of peak power. So the real question here is, can this actually deliver that true cinematic surround sound experience? We're going to find out in this video right here. All right, guys, here is our soundbar. Good size soundbar. I love that. We have our controls built directly on top as well, so we can power this on. You can see it's actually already powered on, but we can also change the input on here with the touch of that button. So we can go from HDMI 2 to HDMI 3. We can go over to optical if you want to use a optical cable connection here. We can go to Bluetooth or auxiliary, and then we're going to leave it on TV ARC right here. And I actually have 2 cable connections built into the bottom side of this. One is providing power. The other one is the ARC connection that is going to the side of the TV, right into the necessary port on the back. Now, we also have all the controls available to us right on this remote as well. This gives you a ton of different connection capabilities, but also you can customize the sound. You can up your bass, for example. If I go and I up the bass, you see that obviously it registers right on there as well. We have volume as well. We can adjust the volume. You can see that up on the TV as well as I do this. So we're up to 15. They coincide with each other, of course. We could change between all channel stereo if we want to. We could change the surround. I'm going to demo all this for you guys, but there's just tons and tons of settings adjustments on here. There's different modes on here. You can adjust the treble. You can adjust the surround sound. You can adjust all of your speaker levels if you want to. So if you wanted to customize the speakers and different levels of each individual speaker, you could obviously do that. Now, right below our soundbar, just for the sake of this video, I put our subwoofers very close to each other. Wouldn't typically have them this close. I just want to have them in one continuous shot just to make this an easier video to shoot. But typically I'd probably move one over here. The other one would go a little bit further down that way. We have our surround sound right behind me as well. I've separated those so we can really have an immersive experience here. But right here, we're on the Maven Huffman channel, one of my close friends. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically demo this right now so you guys can see the different adjustments that can be made thanks to the remote. Now, we also have the companion app that we can use as well to make all of these audio adjustments right from our smartphone or smart device. So whatever you want to do, honestly, I think that the remote right here is certainly enough to get you through everything that you need. But for those that want to have that smartphone or application built into their smart device, go ahead and use that. But let's give this a go. All right, guys, so I've got Maven's channel up right here. We're going to test this out right now so you guys can kind of hear the audio. Now, keep in mind, though, as we play this, you're not going to get the full experience of surround sound because this is a YouTube video. And unless you have this exact system that you're watching this video with, you're really not going to get the full immersive experience, but you'll at least be able to hear the audio quality.
If they let me go, if they gave me an opportunity to talk, it would only help my career. So, as nervous as I was backstage for this moment, I was equally as excited.
Now I'm going to pause it right there. I'm going to switch over to surround sound mode right here on the remote. So we're going to hit that. You can see it going across the actual sound bar. It says Dolby surround sound now. And now we're going to hear the difference of the audio.
Now it is absolutely none of my business.
If you see my hand, if you see my finger there, that's when I broke my, after I had that match with Bob where I broke my finger.
So Kurt, why don't you do...
Now, if we want to customize this, we've got the remote right here. We can up the volume if we want to. We can up the bass if we want to. We can bring the bass down. We can customize different modes on here. We can even customize volume levels on individual speakers. So just amazing amount of customizations can be done from here. But let's jump into some games. We heard how audio is with like voices and just regular videos like this. But let's play some actual games on here and see what the audio experience is like there. Now, what's really cool is actually as you're driving a car in Fortnite, for example, or even in Forza Horizon 6, you actually, because you've got surround sound enabled, you actually hear like trees whizzing by on like your left-hand side. And because as long as you obviously space out your speakers accordingly, you're going to feel like you're fully immersed and you're actually behind the driver's seat. You're going to hear things whizzing by you on the sides. Gameplay like this where there's bullets flying at you, you're going to hear all of those sounds in the appropriate location. One of the first things that immediately stands out to me is how substantial the system is. The main soundbar itself measures 54 inches wide, which is significantly larger than any of the competing premium soundbars out there on the market today. And there's a good reason for this massive size. Inside the single soundbar are 19 separate speaker drivers working together to create the front soundstage, dialogue channels, effects channels, and overhead Atmos effects. The larger chassis here gives the Nakamichi more room for dedicated acoustic chambers and speaker placement, helping improve sound separation and overall clarity. And honestly, when you're watching movies, that's one of the first things that you actually notice. Dialogue feels incredibly clear and easy to understand, while sound effects remain distinct instead of blending together. But where things really start getting interesting for me is the overall channel configuration. This is an 11.2.6 channel system. Now I know that sounds like a bunch of technical jargon, but what that essentially means is you're getting sound coming from nearly every direction around your room. You have dedicated front channels, dedicated surround channels, dual subwoofers handling low frequencies, and 6 separate height channels designed to create the illusion that sounds are happening above you. When you're watching Dolby Atmos content, that's where this system really starts to shine. Aircraft can feel like they're flying directly overhead, rain sounds like it's coming from above, and action sequences gain a level of immersion that simply isn't possible with traditional stereo speakers. One of the reasons that Nakamichi is actually able to achieve this is through what they call adaptive height dispersion, or AHD Ultra. This goal is to create a larger and more realistic overhead sound field throughout the room. Instead of height effects being concentrated in a small sweet spot, the system is designed to spread those effects across a wider listening area. And in practice, it really helps create that dome-like Atmos experience that most people are looking for when they invest in premium home theater audio. Now let's talk about the surround speakers, because these are not your typical rear speakers. Nakamichi uses what they call bipolar surround design. Each speaker contains multiple drivers and tweeters that project sound in several directions at the exact same time. Rather than firing audio from a single point, these speakers create much broader sound fields around the listening area. The result is a much more enveloping surround effect that helps pull you into whatever you're watching. Whether it's movies, gaming, sports, or concerts, the room actually feels filled with sound instead of audio simply coming from a few isolated speakers. And because these are wireless surround speakers, setup is surprisingly straightforward compared to a traditional home theater system. Now let's move on to the bass, because this system doesn't come with just one subwoofer, this comes with two. And not just any subwoofers, dual wireless 10-inch subwoofers. The advantage of dual subs isn't just about getting louder bass, it's about getting more consistent bass throughout the entire room. By placing two subwoofers in different locations, you're able to reduce dead spots and achieve a more balanced low-frequency response. The subwoofers themselves are engineered for maximum airflow and are designed to deliver deep, impactful bass with plenty of precision. And trust me, whether you're watching action movies or playing games with heavy explosions and effects, you absolutely feel the difference. The low-end impact is substantial, but what impressed me here is that it doesn't just feel powerful, it feels controlled. Bass notes remain detailed and articulate instead of becoming muddy or overwhelming. Another thing worth mentioning is the overall driver count. Across the entire system, you're getting a total of 31 transducers, and that includes 20 full-range drivers, 9 tweeters, and dual subwoofers. That's a huge amount of hardware packed into a soundbar-based system, and it's a huge part of why this setup is actually capable of creating such a convincing theater-like experience. Everything from subtle ambient effects to explosive action sequences has room to breathe with this. This system never feels strained, even at higher volumes. Speaking of power, Nakamichi rates the Shockwave at up to 2300 watts of peak output and includes 16 digital amplifiers throughout the entire system. So whether you're watching movies, gaming, streaming concerts, or simply listening to music, there's more than enough power available to fill even larger rooms. Now, another feature that I really appreciate here is the companion smartphone app. This app gives you direct control over the entire system right from your phone. You can adjust individual speaker levels, tweak the surround settings, fine-tune bass response, calibrate the system for your specific room, and monitor your system information all from one single interface. For anyone who enjoys dialing in the audio experience, it's a really nice addition. And it also makes setup and adjustments way more user-friendly and just overall easier than digging through traditional on-screen menus. So after spending some time with the Nakamichi Shockwafe Wireless 11.2.6, who is this system really for at the end of the day? In my opinion, this is aimed squarely at people who want a legitimate home theater experience, but don't necessarily want the complexity of building a traditional receiver-based surround sound setup. You still get true surround speakers, you still get powerful dual subwoofers, you still get Dolby Atmos and DTS, and you still get a room-filling immersive experience, but with a far simpler setup process than your typical traditional home theater systems. At the end of the day, what impressed me most is how complete this package feels. The massive soundbar, the bipolar surround speakers, the dual wireless subwoofers, the 6 dedicated height channels, the smartphone control, and the overall sense of immersion, it all comes together to create something that feels far closer to a true theater system than what most people typically think of when they hear the word soundbar. If you'd like to learn more about the Nakamichi Shockwafe Wireless 11.2.6, I'll provide you guys with direct links in the description of this video. That's going to do it for today, guys. Please give me a thumbs up on the video if you appreciate the content. Be sure to hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos. But once again, guys, click those links to learn a little bit more about this amazing system.